Jake Koffyberg, welcome to the Distro Boss Podcast, man. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, to be honest. Like, I've been seriously so excited about this all week since we last spoke. Like, that call that we had it just made me so amped just to get on here and talk to you, bro. 100%.
Yeah. I think you just cut out for a second now. I hope that doesn't get picked up by, I don't know what this platform just did there. Maybe it's our internet connection, so I hope it stabilizes. But yeah, look, I hope it actually does stabilize, because that would be, I'll be so unhappy with this situation right now, because I've been really looking forward to speaking to you too, man. We had a good conversation the other day. One of the things I came across your website, and you've gone from like, you built your own business in, like, was it roofing? And then you've gone into this really strong entrepreneurial journey. And I actually checked out your Instagram, and you're doing this 100 reel thing. Like, every day you're doing a reel. And I kind of went through some of your content, and it's like, and this is over and above the conversation we had. This is me doing my other research. And it's like, okay, so you're doing all these different types of like cool things that I've been like considering doing, like just like observing other people do. And like, I need to speak to you about some of the stuff that's completely not to do with like business strategy. Like, okay, what's the recover ice bath, and how's that working for you? Like, so you've got this strong like workout regimen. I have a workout regimen too. You're compiling that into your daily routine, and then you've got this like business that you've kind of like, it sounds like you've streamlined it to give yourself more time to actually build yourself as a person, as a human, to be, I see you doing a lot of stuff like meditation and breath work and stuff to like just better yourself as a person, give yourself more mental clarity, but also like, I guess you're looking for new ventures. You're looking to invest in new businesses, do different things. Like, what's the deal, man? Give me the roundup.
Well, it's actually like, this actually has, like, I've been in business now for 6 years. I reckon the first 5 years of business was pretty much just pretty much being a subcontractor. I would just wake up, go to work, come home, and that was pretty much it. Like, the business was, slowly progressing, but it wasn't until I can't even tell you that I had this amazing routine back then with gym and all that. It's just things that I've bolted together over time. And I think it was like the journey for me, when I say like my entrepreneurial journey, is a lot different to my business journey. So my business journey started 6 years ago, but since I decided to really channel down this road that I'm going down now, I would say that that's pretty much to the day 12 months. So it was actually, it was pretty much a year ago, I think 2 weeks ago, where David Goggins was actually coming to Melbourne. And I was like, oh, yeah. And that's why I was like, you know what? Where I'm at my life right now, I know that I can do more and be more. I'm going to go see David Goggins. Hopefully that lights a fire in me to want to do more and be more. And, because I didn't really know, like, I think I was just a little bit lost as well with where I was at. Like, business was doing okay. Business was doing pretty good. And I just knew that sort of I needed to do more, be more. And it was going and seeing David Goggins. And then like I didn't know this at the time, but he actually came out at the very end for, say, an hour. So I sat there all day, and they had other people coming in doing keynotes. So it was like finance people about marketing. And I was just sitting here like, none of this stuff resonates with me at all. Like, I was kind of just sitting there like, where's Goggins? What's going on? But then one guy came out on stage, Aaron Sansoni, and he's like, I can show you how to buy businesses with no money down. And he's doing this big spiel like, back in the day, you guys thought that you needed money to buy businesses. And I was just like, holy crap, this is what I need to do. This is exactly what I came here for, was this. So then
he was the coach that you picked up, right? I remember I saw one of your posts that you were taking on like mentors and coaches. You spent like copious amounts of money on that kind of stuff. And Aaron Sansoni, is that correct?
Yes.
He's somebody that you've mentioned a few times. I was like, oh, let me look this guy up like this.
Yeah. So that's how that's where my life changed from that moment. Like, after he did his keynote, he's like, come to the back of the stage and sign up for Deal Mastery. I was like, oh yes. I went up, tapped my card, paid, and then sort of went and did the deal mastery, and then went into the next one, which was like an empire mastery, which I'm actually going and doing again next week. And then sort of from there jumped into the coaching, and then sort of working with coaches and mentoring and traveling all around Australia to do seminars and meeting people. I was kind of like, all right, this is sort of my journey now. I know exactly what I want to do, because I had this small mind before of being like, oh, well, this is just a stepping stone for me in this business. Once I make some money, then I can go do what I'm passionate about. But then now my mindset is pretty much like, well, I don't see myself as a roof tiler now. I see myself as an entrepreneur. So then going and doing all these things, I realize that that is just one part of what I do, is say this business. But I've got to also, like, the thing that opened up the most to me was I was looking at one thing. I was only looking at roof tiling instead of looking at all the other things like family, connection. What are the other things that I like? What's my training like? What's my nutrition like? And just all these things. And once I started bolting everything together and treating it as one thing with all these different avenues and things that I do, my life just sort of changed. And then as I grew and gained more confidence and everything, then I just started picking things that I like. And then also like just taking advice from people and asking questions. Like I kind of had the big ego, like, for no reason. Like I wasn't, anything big or whatever, but I was just like, oh, I do business, I do that. But I don't know whether you saw my reel that I posted the other day. I was like, I've learned more about business in the last 3 months of this year than I had in the last in the last 5 years.
I was like really curious, like what was it that like kind of gave you that realization? Was it like just one like methodology? Was it like one strategy that you've like taken on board and implemented and start to see like immediate success, like in monetary, like financial benefit, or just how you feel about the way you conduct your business day? Like what is it that made you feel that was like, all right, the last 3 months has been that impactful for me?
Well, I think it comes from sort of multiple things, but I think for me it was as soon as I got out of my own way and realized like, okay, I need to, like, where I'm at right now isn't where I want to be, and why is that? And I kind of just sort of went over like, okay, I'm trying to do all this, but I don't have the blueprint on how to sort of get there. And just by having a sit down with my coach, and I said, by the end of the year, I want to be here. And he goes, well, you've got to work on this, 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 and this. And then sort of just pretty much like I didn't, like, in the last sort of 6 months of last year when I was doing the coaching, I wasn't asking a lot of questions. I was just kind of listening to other people around me.
I'm curious to know how these coaching programs work, because it's like, so you get to actually speak with the coach. Is that how that thing goes? Because I've never actually been on one. I know people that have gone on to like coaching programs. I've never really quizzed them or questioned, because I've always had my own thing going. So I've always been like laser focused on my own roadmap, but like, and acknowledged it, and I acknowledge that there's benefits to it, but I've never really, gone as far as to say, okay, so what's it actually like? Like, do you actually get one-to-one phone calls? Is like, do they actually get an understanding of you as an individual, your life, or is it just like training, like just tons of training? What is it?
Yeah, well, there's multiple parts to it. Like I am pretty much like agreeing with you as well. Like I think if I never went to David Goggins, I would have never got a coach. Like I definitely don't think that I would be doing coaching, and I don't think we'd be having this conversation if it wasn't for that one day of going there. Like we probably wouldn't be having this, we definitely wouldn't be having this conversation. But so I have two coaches. The Aaron Sansoni. So he runs the corporation, like he's the big guy. Like I'll have one call with him each quarter. So we'll sit down for an hour and talk once a quarter. But then I have a coach that is assigned specifically to me, and I speak to them fortnightly. And then we have sort of immersions that we do once a quarter as well in different states. So there's like a life immersion, brand immersion, wealth and leadership immersion that we do. And we all 100 of us sit in, and we sit down for 3 or 4 days and talk about sort of, each topic and break it down. Like, what does it take, say, in leadership? Like, what does it take to be a leader? And sort of, you have to lead yourself before you can lead a team, and going through that. And then wealth is like, all right, you know how to make money, but how do you keep it? How do you secure it? And then brand is all about, well, I haven't actually done brand yet. That's my next immersion, but that's pretty much like, the social media. What's your brand like? How are you going to get people to trust you and want to work with you? And then I just came back from Bali 3 weeks ago, and that was the life immersion. And that's just all pretty much like what we just spoke about before, bolting everything together and looking at sort of all the channels that you have in your life and how to bolt them all together to be able to live the best life and live in your obligation, which is sort of was a perfect timing for me, because sort of I was just starting to put the pieces together, and now I've gained all the clarity on what that actually means to have all the pieces of the puzzle together and how much that changes your whole life once you stop looking at one thing and start looking at all the other things and putting the pieces together and then moving out into your own life too.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, that's a big mindset shift. Like, how's that?
Yeah.
With especially like in a place like Bali, like where you're completely removed from like the typical sort of civil, the urban jungle or whatever. Like, I don't know if that's
Yeah.
I don't know where you are in Melbourne, in Australia, but like, I'm just going to make a hazard a guess that Bali is going to be a little bit more serene than that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Although I know there's some beautiful places in Australia, but yeah.
Oh, there is. Yeah. But not where I live. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I feel like
I think
there's something to be said about going to another location, being like removed from your location. It's like,
yeah.
I'll give you an example. It's like when my wife's really big on like yoga, meditation, breath work. She does it every day, tries to talk me into doing it, and I'm always like, pah. I'll breath work when I'm on the treadmill. You know what I mean? I always kind of like, I'm always like against it, because well, just whenever she recommends anything, I'm typically just like the opposing force, right? So it's like, no, that's rubbish. A keto diet, no, I'm on like this diet. Like I've always got the opposite thing going.
Yeah.
But it's like, one thing I did realize though, whenever we went on like a really like nice vacation where it was like a beautiful location, like whether it was like a nice little like this island Vieques off like Puerto Rico in my case, or like some area in Mexico, and in I guess Bali would be an equivalent, where it's just like the setting is right for you to actually start taking in information. And I was like, okay, let me try this like hot yoga. And it was like, okay, this is actually really good. I feel really great. And it's like, everything. And I started to like become a sponge and absorb all this like this positive energy. And then I come back like, oh, I'm going to keep on doing this. I think the trouble with me is I just get back into my rat race again. I get back into the road, and then I lose track. I mean, are you able to like sustain it? Because I know you, look, I'm seeing that you are sustaining it, because you're showing it every day, like your routine, and you're sticking to it. And I think that that's really commendable. Have you already like built the next thing yet, the next business yet? Or are you still just kind of figuring this out, this mindset, this workflow?
Yeah, I'll just touch on what you just said previously about sort of the routine and everything just quickly, but just because it relates to sort of Bali. So when we were actually in Bali, the whole, like as you said, the whole point of it was taking everyone away from their normal environment and making them do things that most people wouldn't normally do. So we would actually wake up in the morning we had to meet at say 5:30 in the morning, and then we would do yoga, and then we would do PT, and then we would get ready and have breakfast, and we would do ice baths every day and sort of breath work and things like that, just to like pretty much to show like the importance of a morning routine and getting people that don't normally do those things into getting a routine. But one thing that stood out for me of what Aaron said when we were there is, you don't have to do this exact routine. You just have to find what works for you. But like some people go, oh, I loved yoga, I'm going to keep doing yoga. Yoga works for me. For me, I enjoyed doing it there, but yoga is not something that I'm going to do every single day. I know for me, all right, if I get on the bike and do 15 minutes of cardio just to warm up, and then I'll go into the sauna, the ice bath, have a shower sort of, and then train, that's what I like to do. And that's what works for me. So it's like just finding what works for you. Like some people like to train in the afternoon. Some people like to train in the morning. Some people want to go for a run. It's like, I think the misconception is in this, like in society these days, is people look at people's routines and morning routines and think that they have to get up and do 3 hours of this crazy morning routine to be successful. But some people can do that, some people can't. And for the people that can't do that and they try to do it, they're just going to be fatigued, and it's sort of going to like hurt their workflow. as well.
Yeah, it's got to be situational. Like it's got to be down to like also like in like the individual. Like I know that there are some people
Exactly.
like I could have a conversation with a buddy of mine about. I think I actually did have this conversation. It's like, hey, you should, like, have you considered this ice bath thing? Because I was considering it. He goes, dude, my life is already hard enough. Why the hell do I want to jump in a friggin' ice bath? I'm like, I'm working my ass off. I said, I'm trying to make ends meet. I said, I haven't got time for that. Life's already hard. Why am I trying to? I don't need these hardships in my life. I don't need to introduce anything else to prove to me to overcome a challenge every day. Like I'm not gonna see where that came from too. I was like, you know what, you're right. There's things that we do to kind of remind ourselves, like shake the body up. I mean, I know there's like health benefits, and you know, there's a lot of health benefits to those kind of activities. But you know, the conversation that we had was that, yeah, but it's better just to, you know, if you don't have the time, or if your life is already hard enough, then maybe just living, like eating healthier would be sufficient enough to, you know, or just working out.
No, exactly right.
Yeah.
But so you just got to find what works for you. You just got to find what works for you. Like there's no perfect morning or routine. Every person's different. Some people don't like lifting weights. Some people don't like doing cardio, but they love yoga and stretching, or, you know, whatever it is. Some people just go, you know what? I just want to put everything down on a pen and paper and do some journaling, and then have a nice, nutritious breakfast. Like it's whatever works. Like for me with the ice baths and that, I just want to do the hardest thing that's going to be mentally for me first in the morning. Is like one of the reasons why I do it as well. So it's like for me, if I go and sit in a 2-degree ice bath for 3 minutes in the morning, and I fight through that mental battle, and then I get the clarity and all the other benefits of everything as well, I go, all right, now when it comes down to work and I have an issue with things like that, I'm kind of just in the mindset of, you know, that is not as bad as what I've done here. And I've started the day like that at 5:30 in the morning of doing that. Is kind of like one of the reasons to sort of doing that as well.
How do you regulate your energy? Let me tell you my routine, and there's a reason why I'm asking that question, because I wake up every day 5 a.m. 5:30 if I'm waking up late, and then I get on my treadmill. I have a treadmill in the house, so I'm like, okay, let me go jump on this thing for an hour. So every day I do 60 minutes. I do my 60 minutes. Then it's time to wake up my kid, my oldest kid, for school. So I wake her up. We go do the whole morning routine. Wife's slowly waking up because we got a 7-month-old. So she's kind of like, I'm like, you deal with the infant, and then I'll get the other one ready.
Yeah.
And so now we're doing the get ready for school routine. Then I take her to school, drop off. As soon as I've dropped off, I go to the gym because I've done my cardio. Now it's time to do my resistance, and I'm there straight powerlifting. That's all I'm doing. I'm just trying to get 1 rep max from whatever body part I choose. And like say, so I'm just killing myself. I'm just trying to mess the muscle up, trigger some growth. I don't know, just burn the calories, get the exertion out. Like as long as it's like I've just put the effort in. I'm not even trying to look a certain way. I'm just trying to just go hard and then go home. Like as long as I'm feeling strong, and I'm like, I know I'm losing weight because the cardio is there. So any cheat meals I introduce in the day, because I have kids, I cheat every day. There's always something. It's always something for me to just snack on, right? Like, oh look, some Twinkies. Let me have some of those. Like, like I'm gonna have something. I can't not. There's days I could be like really like restrictive, but then there's like you just want to be a dad and have fun with your kids and be part of the fun. So you end up doing stuff. And I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not going to go on stage anytime. It's like I just like to work out because I have a passion for it. But here's the deal. Yeah. After I've done that heavy workout, I come back, I eat, and then I have my shower. I'm like, I'm kind of pooped. I'm kind of done. I'm like, I need a break. I need to like recover. And then I've got this whole day of work. Now, after about 30 minutes, I can get into my work zone and I can get focused again. But there is that, like, people talk about, wow, when I work out in the morning, I'm so energized for the rest of the day. I'm like, well, you didn't work out hard enough.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like you're meant to burn the calories. There's meant to be nothing left. I mean, what are you talking about? Yeah. You've got energy for the rest of the day, and you're fasting. I know you're cheating on yourself. But like, how do you regulate your day then? Like, if you're doing all the, I suppose the ice bath is like a wake up thing, though. I suppose.
Yeah. How do you? Well, I do that before I train. So it's like when I've done the ice bath, obviously, I think that's the most awake that you'll be the whole day after getting in there. Trust me, if you're tired, you are not tired when you get out of that thing. But then, of it, like you're right. After I train, then I sit down, but I just try to take breaks. So I work, like I'm not going to say I set a timer for 90 minutes and then I'll get up. It's like as soon as I can see myself sort of dropping, I'll get up and if I'm on the phone too, I just walk laps around my factory and sort of just, like any time that I can get up and do something. But I guess for me as well, I do spend a lot of time driving out to site, meeting people, and sort of doing that. So it breaks up my day. Like I don't think I could just sit down at a computer all day because I don't think anyone can, besides the people that are like the 1%ers that are just dialed in. But for me, like as soon as I get tired, I'll get up, I'll go walk a few laps around the factory, or I'll have a snack, or just like I just try to break it up in like whenever I start to feel sort of tired, or I go get some fresh air. But yeah, I feel like as well, something that's a bit controversial probably as well. Like I've been doing carnivore like for breakfast and lunch, and I feel like that has helped with my energy as well. I just feel like I can stay focused longer, and I don't feel any bloat, and sort of I maintain energy, and sort of like I've been eating steak for breakfast for the past 2 weeks, like not at 7 o'clock in the morning, but like I'll do my morning routine, I'll work out, I'll do some work, and then so I haven't ate yet. So say after the podcast, then I'll have a steak and then work, and then when I get hungry, I'll have lunch, whatever that is for the day, and then I feel like I work better like that as well. Instead of like when I was on the tools, I would sort of do the morning routine, and then by the time I get to site, I'm absolutely knackered from driving as well. And then sort of my energy levels are just going during the day. But I feel like now, sort of just trial and error and seeing what works. Like that's what the phase that I'm at the moment is. Just all right, while I have the opportunity to try all these different things, let's try it. Let's just keep adding things into the morning or into the day, and to see what actually works and benefits me, not what benefits someone else.
So carnivore diet, I did that for a while. I did. It was. I mean, I definitely cut up. I did, but I just missed carbs. So I just ended up. I felt what I do now is I just max out at 150 grams of carbs a day. So I get 50 in the morning, 50 for lunch, 50 in the evening. That's a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
A healthy cereal. It's like it's not like an overflowing bowl. It's like 50 grams.
Like, yeah.
A couple of oatmeal packets or like some granola. Like I have 150. I think that to me, as long as I don't go over, I'm not going to get to that point where you have like a crash energy wise. And whenever I work out, one thing I did learn was that I want to work out especially when it comes to like fat reduction, fat loss. It was like do it when like you've not got an insulin reaction going on when your blood sugar's low. So that if you're going into like steady state, 75% max heart rate, you're going to be burning fat. Anyway, like we're going into like gym talk here. Like, but this is I just had like I'm a gym guy. I'm into it. I do regulate. I do watch what I eat. I do work out. And I was like, I can see you're that guy too. So like, let me talk to you about it. But there's one thing. But
it helps with business too.
It does. It keeps you focused. That routine, that consistency. It's demonstratable too. You can't buy it. I think I remember reading that. Reading or hearing Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, he was like, it's like you can't buy the body. It could be as rich as you want, but like, this is real. Like, everything that you see here, like this took hard work, this took years, this took dedication, this took commitment. And you can't just get rich and buy it. Like, you can. People talk, you could take steroids. Steroids don't blow you up overnight. It takes a while. It still takes time.
You still got to do the work. You still have to do the work.
Yeah. And I noticed one of the things, the reason I wanted to talk about like fitness and stuff, because I know you did this like big physical challenge. The last thing I saw you post on your Instagram was like this. You got an award for, what was it called? The Passage.
That was. So the Commander's Passage, shout out to Curtis Topher, one of my coaches too. That was sort of the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. Like I kind of, so when I signed up coaching with him was maybe midway through last year after I met him at one of the like immersions that we do. And he was like, oh, I run a military passage, pretty much all the like all the inner crap that you have in yourself. Like will strip you down and rebuild you, and sort of all your limiting beliefs and that will be gone. And I was like, oh, that sounds exciting. He was like, oh, it's a physical challenge and all this. And I was like, oh, awesome. So I signed up to this with sort of 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks notice. And the people that I was going with were already in his mastermind. So a couple of people had pulled out. So he had a spot available. So he's like, oh, you fly in on a helicopter and you go do this physical thing. And I was like, cool as. So like, yeah, pretty much jumped on a plane in Newcastle, sort of got on a helicopter, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then the plane lands, and then sort of like, well, the helicopter lands, and I'm looking around like, this place is awesome. Grab your bag, and then all of a sudden, it's like military people around you with masks on. They're like, we don't care how you do it, but you've got 2 minutes to get up the top of this hill, and this hill is like that. And then sort of like, it was only like a couple 100 meters, and you run up there with your bags and everything. You're like, oh, cool. And then sort of, a few more people come out and they make you take everything out of your bag, go through your bag to make sure you have no contraband or anything. And I was like, oh shit, this is serious. And then everyone had to line up, and he goes through, and everything that you said in your call leading up to that, like I was like, oh, we're going to have sort of a little bit of time just to pay employees during the week because I didn't have an admin or anything at that time. He picked that out in the line, and he goes, what kind of business are you running where you have to ask to do this and you can't trust your workers to pay this before, and pulled something out and singled everyone out about something sort of before that. And I was like, oh shit, this is actually serious. And then I think it was something like we did 50 Ks the first day, like of a combination between carrying things, running, and like walking, and sort of like, it was full on. Like we were crawling on our stomachs through a ditch with all these big rocks and everything through there, and the arms are all cut and everything. It was like 35 degrees, and we were crawling through this ditch for like 3 hours, and just pretty much like, it was the most physical thing I've ever done. And sort of, I reckon the hardest part of that, it's like 8 o'clock at night, and sort of we have to get in the water. We haven't slept, we haven't ate. This is the second night. Like we're running on pretty much zero. Like we've just had water, and we had to go into the ocean and link arms and lay on our back and let all the waves crush over us. I think we were in there for like an hour.
I've seen that in the movies.
Yeah. But that's pretty much like what we did. And then sort of, it was like a combination of like, we had jerry cans that we had to carry like kilometers down the road, and people on stretchers. It was like 3 days of torture pretty much. Like it was
like,
full on. Like
because it was like, I mean, because it's not the actual army, like, was there any leeway? Like, so just give me a minute. I'll pick myself back up. Give me 5. Like, or did you have to just push, were they in your face?
So
like how you saw it?
Yeah, like when I was in the ditch, I remember stopping, and they like said, it was a lot more aggressive than this with swearing, which I'm not going to swear, but it was like, why are you stopping? And it's like, you know what I mean? Like the first time, it's like, oh,
I'm
it's
tired. Damn it.
Yeah,
I work in an office.
But they put it back on you. They're like, well, you can get out of the ditch and leave anytime you want. And that's like the reverse psychology of that. It's kind of like, oh, I'll keep going. But when we were actually in that ditch, the guy that was 2 people in front of me had a seizure. Like he started having a seizure and full fitting in the ditch. And then everyone stopped then. And then they made a comment. They're like, why are you stopping? We don't care if he dies. And then I was like, holy crap. I'm like, far out. This is next level. And we had to keep crawling around. They waited they waited for everyone to get past, and then they quickly attended him and took him out of there. They're just putting it in our heads of like, you have to keep going. Like if this was real life, you don't stop when someone's injured, or you don't put your head up, because we're in a ditch, and they're like, if someone puts their head up, they're like, you're dead. You've just cost your team and all that. Like, it was unbelievable experience. It was like, I wanted to quit so many times, but it's like the mental barrier that you continuously keep pushing through is like, even from just a fitness perspective, like there would be no point of my life if I didn't do that, where I would jump on my stomach and crawl down the beach for 2 kilometers. I didn't even think, like, if you asked me if I could do that, I would say no way could I do that, or could someone do that hasn't trained for it. But we did it because we had to. So it's just all these barriers that you knock down, and it's like transferring that, coming back. It's like, it's like, all right, whenever, like even in the gym, say, when you're like, oh no, I'm done. But you actually, if you change reframe the way that you're thinking and just push with everything you've got, I guarantee you get another few reps. And that just transfers into business too. Like, where are these extra reps that you're not putting in? And sort of what's the excuses that you keep telling yourself? Like, oh, I've done enough today. Have you? Like, they were questions that I had to sort of ask myself.
Tracking. Like, I mean, when it comes to gym, much like with business as well, like I'll work with like key performance indicators, KPIs, some kind of measurement. Like, so when it comes to workouts, it's like, I got to do 1 rep max. That means whatever I was heaviest at last week, I've got to go to that or more. And I've got to try and like just squeeze one out. And then after that, it's like 85% of that I'm repping out for eight reps for at least 2 or 3 sets after the 1 rep max. But I build up to the 1 rep like with 3 sets. So I'm there 6 to 7, maybe even 8 sets on one muscle group, on one exercise even. And it's the same with business. Like, I'm looking at what we achieved the week before. I'm looking at like what we were able to accomplish. How many sales did we get? How many I work with building distribution networks. Like, how many distribution channels were we able to build, and how many are currently active? It's one thing to get people to sell the thing that you're trying to sell for you, but people say, there's a lot of yes men out there. You get people say yes, and then it's like, okay, how many? It's kind of like spinning plates. It's like, how many are actually spinning? And then if anything, you kind of got to be like quick to catch things that are crashing. It's like you have to build up more. I'm always kind of measuring that and like, okay, so how much can we push through a funnel? How much can we push through a distribution network? How fast can we grow, scale a business or my own product or somebody else's? It's like, there's always a measurement, and it's like, and because everything is tracked, it's easier to make improvements because you are tracked,
definitely.
I haven't moved on to like the wearable, like the Whoop. We ever seen that?
Oh yeah, I've seen so many ads about that.
None of that stuff works with tattoos, man. Like the Fitbits, the Apple Watch, none of it works because the ink reflects the infrared.
Is that actually true?
Yeah, I can't. Like, I'll put a Fitbit on or an Apple Watch or whatever. It doesn't work. I have to use the thin Fitbit, the really thin one, so it can come right to the end. So I can put it on the end, but it's probably not even collecting the right data because it's pretty much on bone, isn't it? It's not even. But it's like, it's just. So I just have to like use other methods. But in business, you can track everything. And I'm trying to segue right now into business because that's what this really podcast is about. I had to talk about this kind of stuff because I am interested in what it takes behind the scenes to get your mind right, to get your to keep you motivated, the consistency, the other factors in life, the other things in life that people can demonstrate commitment and consistency with, and how that translates into business. Now, when it comes to business, I know you said you've put the tools down, like that's the roofing business, right? When you say that, is it you put them down, you streamlined it, automated it, or I know you said you're walking around a factory. You mentioned that earlier. Like, what's your thing now? What are you planning on doing?
Yeah, so I pretty much, when I came back from Bali, was sort of when I put down on paper, where am I at? What am I trying to achieve? How do I want my life to be? What kind of life do I want? And then sort of when I realized where I'm trying to get to and where I am now, I can't be on the tools to be able to achieve that. So I actually had a meeting so I've got 6 employees that are on site, and then myself and an admin staff now. So I sat down and had a meeting with the boys, and I said, look, pretty much this is where we're at. This is where I want to go. This is what I'm expecting from you guys, and this is the reward you'll get if you hit these targets. So then pretty much like got them on board with it, with what our mission is and our values as a company. And then I started working on, all right, what do I need to do to achieve this goal? So I've actually got written down here from like my coaching goals. It's like, all right, you need to well, it was like pretty much what's your goal? And I was like, okay, if you imagine the railing around a roof that's getting built, I want to be doing the railing, I want to be doing the guttering, I want to be doing the tiled roofs, the tin roofs, the solar panels. I just want to have a one-stop shop. So it's like, all right, where I'm at now, just tiled roofs. So who do I need to speak to be able to get that? So I've pretty much just been calling people that are in my network to be like, do you know a person that I can partner up to do this, that, and everything as well? Like, as well as when a customer calls me and they go, oh, do you do roof painting? And I was thinking, no, I don't, but I will now. I will now. So I said, yep, we do that. So I pretty much committed to it. And then I started calling people. I'm like, let's do a joint venture. I'll supply the leads. I'll go quote the roofs, and then I just take a percentage. So for me, it's like, for them, it's a no-brainer because they tell me what they quote the job and I just put my fee on it. So they're not losing anything. For me, it's just until I can get someone over time that will go and do those quotes, and then I can streamline to doing something else. But it's like, where can I fit all the pieces of the puzzle into with doing all these things? And we're actually in the process of starting a solar panel business. So we're with a few people. One's an electrician, one installs solar panels, and I just have a database of like 1,300 builders that I'm going to sell to. So we're doing a partnership with that. At the moment, we're currently working on the logistics of getting these solar panels imported from China. We just got to see which panels actually regulate. So it's like, I'm just trying to build, as Aaron Sansoni would say, my empire around of things that I can integrate together. So if I'm here with roofing, what can I bolt in that works with roofing? It's the same for any business. It doesn't even have to be related to a trade, but I'll use trade for example because I'm a tradie. It's like, all right, if you're a bricklayer, what other things can you bolt in together? And you might only just be getting a 10 or a 20% cut, but over 5 years, that could be making you thousands of dollars a week or tens and thousands of dollars a month for things that you've set up 5 years ago where someone else is doing the work and you just have someone that quotes all these things and it's just other streams of income. So it's like, if I don't have a roof to put on this week and I've got all this money coming in from these joint ventures, it's still I can still pay the boys, keep the lights on and do all these things. It's kind of where I'm at the moment, is what can I bolt into my business that makes sense of what we do, and that I can go out to the marketplace and say, you know what, we were just roof tiling, but now we can paint roofs, do restoration, solar, and all these other things that we can bolt in to just make it a one-stop shop. Because I believe with where we're at and, my thought process behind everything is a question that everyone should ask themselves in their business is, what separates my business from everyone else? What do we do that no one else does? What's our bank zone? Where can we pivot and spread our marketing to that people go, wow, no one else does that, or no one else offers this, or no one does this package, is just going to get you more work and build you a bigger brand ultimately.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in joint venturing, especially when it comes to like being able to deliver on a promise. Especially because you never want to really. Sometimes you have to say no to customers or clients, but the majority of the time you want to be able to say yes. If anything, just to serve them right. So I believe and I actually found that when I first started a business, I was always trying to come up with different business ideas. But a lot of them were like really lofty, like they were like these harebrained ideas. Some of them were really good, right? But the trouble was I wasn't the person to build it. Like I wasn't. They required a special sort of level of experience, expertise, qualification, licensing. These are businesses, that ideas that I just couldn't do it. They were just it would be great if there's a lot of things like that, like cellular networks on the subway system, like you get full speed internet, of course we'd love that, but not sure you're the guy to do it. It's like that. There's a lot of people you have to know in high places to make that happen, and you've got to have a lot of money to carry the cost of all that. And it's like, so ideas, there's lots of great ideas out there. It's like, what can you realistically do? And I remember
definitely
one of the things that I actually, and I wrote a book actually, Distro Boss, it's right there. This thing's all tracking me right now. Let me just, the Distro Boss. I actually put it in there. It's like when it comes to setting up a company or start getting into business, like it's just, you want to collaborate, and you use the word joint venture.
Yeah.
Collaborate's the same thing. It's like you want to work with someone. If you're selling someone else's product, it doesn't mean that you have to run under their brand. You can have your own brand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you can go as far as white labeling a product too. Like, for instance,
yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can wrap your own branding around it, right? So you've got, you've got you can go to a company and say, hey, look, like, how much would you pay me, or how much could we? Let's split the fee. Like, I want to be able to make this much on top of this. I need you to work it down. I'm going to try and make it worth your while. This is how many customers I think I can get. Obviously, I always like to work backwards and find out where your customers are at, and then have a list come to the business and say, right, let's collaborate and do a deal here. But if you can do it that way, you've now been able to joint venture your way through, which is like picking a business, agreeing a fee with them, figuring out who their ideal target buyer group is, and then signposting those customers to the company, right? So it's like, everything there is collaboration. You're just leveraging networks. You actually haven't had to create anything, except put in the sweat equity that's required to actually negotiate the deals on both ends of the spectrum, the supply side and the sell side. So listen, joint venturing is like how I built my business. My whole business is about, I partner with companies if they have a good product, and I build out distribution networks, which is basically finding out who's already got the attention of their customers. So which companies or people already have access to the customers that they have, and then I connect the two together. And that's my business, technically my service offering, right? That's joint venturing. That's collaborating.
Yeah.
In the case of your roofing company providing the extra, going the extra mile, collaborating with that other business, like, did you let them market themselves independently, or did you say, look, you're basically working under my banner? So when you meet the client, are you letting them promote their own business, or are you saying, look, because the biggest challenge you have with joint venturing is a worry, if it's not a long-term collaboration, like it's not a long-term strategic partnership, you're worried about them just poaching your clients at the end.
Yeah. Because pretty much.
Because if they want to get the client, if they want to get a deal, that you want a slice of that action too. It's one thing you bringing them into your clients. You want it to work in reverse too.
For sure, definitely, yeah. So it's like at the moment it's set up so it's like the client comes to me, and then I say yes, we can do that, and then they come in. Obviously, you run the risk of them sort of going behind your back on Mrs. Jones's job across the road. Like you do run a risk of that, but you do have a signed agreement. So it's like, if you do catch wind of that, well then, hey, you've broke our agreement. But I think it just comes down to trust. Like for me, it's like I'm selective with who I work with. I only want to work with people that do high quality work, and at the end of the day, like, they're more than welcome to promote their own business, put a banner out the front, do whatever. Like, all I've done is pretty much sold them a lead, and then it's like at the end of the day, it's just something that works for both of us. I've got you work, I make a bit of money for my time, everyone's happy. So
it's like you got to maintain pretty much status quo.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like from their end of it, it's like it's a no-brainer for them, because I'm just sourcing them out a lead that they haven't had to pay money to get or market or anything like that. They haven't even gone and quoted the job. So for me, it's just pretty much getting paid for my time, for spending an hour to go out there and do it. And you have an agreement in place. But they also know that, if they run the risk of going to Mrs. Jones across the street, they run the risk too of, I get a job come in and I give it to someone else, and I don't give it to them because they broke the trust. So
I relate to that. Like when I first started out, my first experience with that was, I went into a job interview, and I knew I wasn't going to get a job. I knew I wasn't going to get it. I was up against people who were like way high caliber. They were just way more suited. I'm like, how did my recruitment agent even get me into this interview? Kudos to him. Like, I'm not going to get this job. And then so when I walked out, knowing full well that that was a complete catastrophe, the guy calls me, goes, "How'd it go?" I'm like, "Yeah, it didn't work out." But I had like a little light bulb moment, like this little epiphany at that time, where I was like, the guy just sent me in with a price tag around my neck and just like, I wonder if he gets it. Right? He just held crossed his fingers. He did whatever he had to do to get me into that interview and just kind of like hope for the best. And I was realizing, and that kind of like got me into like, it opened my mind to something, which was basically, bringing having an agreement with a company where they'll pay you for something they want. And that goes that down to that framework I just mentioned, where because very quickly after that, before I kind of figured out that there was like 4 steps to it, I realized that I could go to like any car dealership and say, look, if I bring somebody in here next week who's going to buy this red Toyota because they're in the market for a red Toyota, I want to get paid for it. How much you pay your sales staff commissions? Because I want the same, if not more, because you're not covering my salary.
Yeah.
So like, so how much? I'm going to ask him. If you don't tell your sales guy is going to tell me the truth. So you might as well tell me.
Yeah.
And then they'll tell me, anything above this we'll pay 7% commission, or even one time it was even with a watch, a jewelry store that was selling fancy watches. Or anything over £5,000. It was in the UK. We'd pay like 15% commission on or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I knew that, okay, so if I came anything over $5,000, I'm going to get a nice slice out of that. So as soon as we had that agreement in place, and a lot of the time back then there wasn't an affiliate agreement or a referral feast or an introducer agreement. Like now there's lots of these kind of agreements that exist. And I guess they existed back then, but I think small, like street facing retail companies, bricks and mortar, if you will, like they didn't typically have these. It was just kind of like a handshake. But I would bring him a customer. That person would buy. I'd introduce him. I'd call him up, say, I'm sending in John, or I'd come in with John, and they'd buy the thing, and then I'd get my kickback. And that was, and I realized, well, that's better than having a job. I could just do this all the time. And so as long 100%. As I control, so as long as I control the client, as long as I can access the clients. If I can build up my audience, or I use the word audience, back then I never called it. If I can get my client list big enough, if I can find enough people, if I can, get enough leads, these are the old term words that are now become they're being brought back. I think people are getting bored of the word audience now. Now people are saying, lead acquisition. I think I've been seeing that popping around the internet a lot. But that's what it was always called. Pick up any business book from 1995, right? That was they called it leads back then too. But like you'd bring these leads in, and then you would get paid a commission, and then your only challenge after that was to maintain the status quo with that company. Provided you kept on bringing in customers, they would always honor the agreement. Problem is, when you started to dry up, if you couldn't bring in customers, suddenly you'll start finding out that John went back to buy another watch and you didn't get a slice of that pie. And so you start to you start to be, this is where like circumvention comes in, and then you have to start thinking about like, stronger, more drawn out strategic partnership agreements, like proper joint venture agreements, something that could be upheld, like you could say, look, a lawyer signed off on this for me.
For sure. And that's just things that over time you learn and you grow. Like this is sort of just the start of my journey doing these joint ventures. So like, I know that something will go wrong, things will fall through, people will leave, they'll exit, and that's just how you adapt and grow over time. And you go, okay, this person did this, how do I now go about this for next time so it doesn't happen? So that's just like over time you're constantly learning and growing.
Constantly, man. Like I think, and eventually once you do that long enough, you kind of fall into two things. You either become the service driven, like you become the person that can consistently do that going forward, or you end up building a business because you've got so many people. Because like you say, you're in the trade, you work in trades, right? So are you going to stay? Do you find that everyone that you're collaborating with does that keep you within that kind of sphere of influence? Are you not looking to get out of that world, or are you staying there and just building up an empire, like you said?
Well, at the point where I'm at now, like with the cards that are in front of me, I'm just gonna keep going down the trade line. But as I said, I don't personally believe that I'm tied to anything forever. It's just at the moment, this is the cards that I have, and I'm going to make the most out of the opportunity that I have in front of me. Is it something that I want to do forever? Who knows? Because like plans change, things change in life. like who knows, in 5 years, I could be completely out of the business and have people running it. So therefore, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, does it? Because at the end of the day, you're making money for that. But you don't know. Like I could get offered an opportunity that has nothing to do with trades, but it's going to demand so much of my time, and I can't do this. But that's a better opportunity. So then you pivot. But I think you just got to like, as well, like in life, like when opportunity comes, you've just got to pivot and take the opportunity because you never know where it will lead you. As well, it's just making the most of every opportunity that you do have in front of you. So right now, this is where I'm at. Who knows where I'll be in the next 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now. But at the moment, yeah, I'm definitely just going to keep down this. But at the end of the day, too, if I see a business that's for sale that has nothing to do with trades, but it's a good business and I can structure a good deal that works well on both ends, well, yeah, I'm going to take the opportunity to do that also.
Yeah, but you made your money in trades, right? I think it's like
yeah.
It's like I think the reason why I think what I was going to get at there, it's like you got to double down on what you're good at. Like you got to do what you know.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Because if you could if you're going to make money and you want to be able to do it consistently, but you want to be able to focus on these other elements of your life, like you want to build a better, healthier, stronger lifestyle. You want to be clearer minded. You want to partake in all these extracurricular activities outside of work. Pursue partner interest, maybe family, whatever it is. Like you want to do all those things, but you want not necessarily to have your work life on autopilot, but you want to do what you know, so you can do it consistently.
Yeah.
And you can basically
exactly right.
get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. And I say, I can tell like there's a lot of people. When I'm having conversations one-to-one like this, that's generally the advice I'm giving. It's like, because I find that, what if I start an online like company selling this stuff from Alibaba? And I'm like, okay, slow down. it's like, what are you good at right now? Oh, I'm an accountant, but I hate accounting. I'm like, okay, slow down. Okay. It's like you've been doing this for how long? Okay. I get that you hate it, but it's currently paying for everything. It's like you can do you have enough money to carry you for a year to make this pivotal shift, or do you need to like double down on what you're good at, or automate it, or figure out a way that you can scale up and get other people involved so that you can do less in that business.
Exactly right.
It's like, you can still step out, but you've got to do what you know, because you know how to do someone's taxes. That's a skill set. You don't know jack shit about Alibaba. You don't know how those things. You don't know what quality you're gonna get. Do you know how to sell it? Like because I find that people do get pulled in so many different directions. As a matter of fact, I remember this is the first thing that we talked about in our conversation prior to this podcast. We're like, you can get pulled in so many different directions when you spend time on
exactly
YouTube.
Right.
Everyone's got the next big thing. Everyone's got the new business. Everyone's got the new fad. And it's like, yeah, I want to do it. Look, that guy's making millions. And then before you know it, you end up stuck lost in the middle of nowhere in debt.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like what we were talking about too, is information overload. It's like, I remember like saying to you, like you can type in one thing on Google and you'll get 5 completely different answers about one thing. Well, what's right and what's not. And that's why at the end of the day, it's like you can get pulled in so many different directions. You've just got to find what it is that you are good at and then sell it, whatever that may be. And that's why it's like me, I never wanted to be a roofer, but like sometimes you've got to go in and do something you don't like to learn other skills too. So it's like I learned how to become a roofer, and now I'm learning about business and all these things that will translate into other areas of my life and other businesses down the track. So it's just about constantly learning, evolving and growing, and just not settling for less than what you want. Like having an actionable plan. Where do you want to be? Okay, this might not be the most sexy way to get there, but as long as you put the work in and have a plan, then you can get there.
Yeah. And I absolutely. And you mentioned roofing, and you mentioned solar panels. You're going to do a deal with solar panels earlier.
Yeah.
And as you were just talking there, I just had this, like my brain just went deep into its memory banks and pulled out like one of those old memory packets. I was like, I remember watching an interview with Elon Musk, and he was talking about how much energy is provided by the sun and how much energy could be produced through more people actually just using solar panels. And I was like, I guess the people that he was kind of directing this to, because I always thought solar panels were a bit of a fad, especially in the very early days when I saw them, like maybe 10 years ago. And you get the guy knocking in the front door, say, hey, you get like a tax credit if you pay these, this $2,500 to get the solar panel. Get the hell out of here, man. Like, it's like somebody, we want to kick him to the curb. It's like, but the thing is, I don't know the figures, but I remember him saying that there's a certain amount of surface area which isn't actually that. What did he say? Like, it was just like the Nevada desert, which isn't.
Yeah, it was Utah. I'm pretty sure it was like Utah. And he's like, "There's nothing there anyway." Was it Utah?
Yeah, if you just had that whole thing covered with solar panels, that would power the entire country or the planet or something like that. It was like,
it was I'm pretty sure it was the planet. It was the planet.
Like that would cut. That would be sufficient. Yeah. And it was like mind-boggling because and then you could like better the technology, like so it becomes more absorbent of like solar energy, and you can step it down better and whatever. And so, and I know that he had his cousins or something had built Solar City, which then he bought back and rebranded as Tesla Solar or something like that.
Yeah.
This is an old interview that I was gripped. I was really watching it. I'm struggling to pull it all back right now, but what I'm trying to get to is that solar panels is a big deal. And if you're already in the roofing business where you can install them, you have the capacity. It's not just an idea for you. You have the tools, as in you've got the people, you've got the experience, you've got the infrastructure, you've got the logistics in place to be able to deliver against a promise like that. And then, of course, if you start getting these like top-notch solar panels and they figure out a better way or they consistently figure out more efficient ways for you to draw energy from that solar panel so you can have it in storage. You can store it into batteries. So that might be the next thing you end up doing. Slapping batteries on the side of the houses, right, to store the energy that's pulled in from the sun. I don't know how it all works, but I know that that's big business. And it's going to get bigger.
Oh, for sure.
All the electric cars, like you see the pivotal shift about a year ago, as soon as and I'll say this carefully, but when Ukraine was invaded, and everyone was worried about the gas being turned off, did you notice how many electric car commercials turned on your TV? Like every car company, every single one of them said, look at our new electric car. Everyone had an electric car. And I can see that's going to be that's now the future. So, it's not just, it was always going to be the future, but they've really fast tracked it, put it that way. So,
100%.
Even here in the UK, like I just bought a car, but I didn't buy a Tesla only because unlike the US, there just aren't enough power, places to charge the thing over here. So
that was the issue. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and where they did say that there were like all these superchargers, out of 5 of them, only 1 would be working. And it's like you'd have this massive line of people just waiting to use it. Anyway, I know we've come up to our hour, and I like to keep these things around the hour mark, but I feel like we're gonna have to have another conversation, bro.
For sure.
Do this more often because you're on your rise, and that's what I think I wanted to talk about. It's like the journey up. It's not always about.
Yeah.
I want to hear about how you're pivoting, how you're changing, how you're adjusting. You're an entrepreneur. I'm a fellow entrepreneur. We're on that journey together, man. We should do more of this.
Oh, definitely. I'd love that. I definitely would. Like, as I said when we first connected, I didn't know what to even expect. Like, I'm like, I just got this email popped up, and then looked at your website and did a bit of research, and I was like, you know what, this comes at the perfect time for me, even with the social media and things that I'm trying to put out there into the world too. I just thought it was a no-brainer for me to do it. And as I said, as soon as we spoke on the first call, I was like, let's just make this happen. This is meant to be for sure.
Yeah, man, that's what this is for. Like for anyone listening, if they're thinking about like starting a company, you don't have to be the best. You just have to put effort in.
You will, like, if you outwork the people around you, you will do better. It doesn't come down to talent. It just comes down to having an actionable plan on what you're trying to achieve. And then, as I touched on earlier, like, what is going to separate you from everyone else? If you go out and do the same thing that everyone else is offering, well, why should someone pick you, especially when you don't have as much experience as them, or your company hasn't been around as long? So I think if people that are going and starting a business, like, if you can just say, all right, I'm going to start this, and just do a bit of market research and just be like, okay, what is everyone offering, and where can I pivot and do something slightly different, and put value into the brand of being like, I do this, and this that no one else does. And then you'll succeed if you put the work in.
Absolutely. And then take on board the joint venturing, right? Like, that's when people ask me, how did I get my business up and running and making money so quickly? I'm like, it wasn't one customer at a time. Although that's a nice thing to say. It's a nice little buzz, buzz phrase. It's like when I first did it, I was like, well, what could I tag my company onto? So who could I joint venture with that already has the customers I need? Because I can just do a really good deal with them. And
I wish I knew about all this stuff like 3 years ago, but I've only just learnt in the last 12 months, and then I've only implemented it in the last 3.
You do a big, you give them 50%, even more if you have to. If it's your first deal, you might not be making a ton of money on it, but your company immediately starts cash flowing, man. It breathes life into your business, so it's now actually a business, not just an idea. And it's just
exactly right.
So I think if there's anything to take away from this conversation, apart from the consistency and self-improvement, it's got to be the fact that you need to start your company if you have an idea, start your business, and take on board joint venturing, because that for sure. It could put you in business very quickly, transforms your
definitely
project and idea into an actual money-making machine.
And that could be your thing that separates you from everyone else too. Like, just say, I'll use roof tiling as an example. Well, what if you're not cheaper on price, what can you do that other people can't? But if I go, but we can supply solar, fascia gutter, and do all these things, they're going to go, well, that's just saved me how much time and money and conversations I don't need to have. We can just go to this guy for a one-stop shop. Like, as an example, like, if you can make life easier for your customers, and then put more value in their pocket to say, we'll put the rail up, we'll do all this, we'll do your job, and we'll drop it, and then we're done. They go, wow. And you can do that all in how long? Within a week. What? Like, you can do all of that in that time? Yeah. And you only need to deal with me. Then they're blown away. So
yeah, man,
just bolt pieces together, and not just about business, but into your own life, like, as well. As I said, family, friends, social life, morning routines, what are you eating? If you can bolt all those things together, then at the end of the day, like, it's not just about business, it's how to live a life that you are truly proud of as well, and makes you happy to wake up every single day. Like, every single day I don't wake up and go, it's Monday morning, I can't be bothered doing this. I'm ready to go, because I've built a life that sort of I want to live. And that's just the important thing that to people as well to remember. Like, it's not just about one thing in life. It's about how you can put everything together and truly just be happier as well. Like, instead of doing things that you hate, what can you do to put the pieces together to make sure that you are happier in life as well?
Absolutely. And like, you do a lot of, like, you document your journey right now. I know you're doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
You're literally, you're every day you're putting out a reel. You're talking about your daily action. And I think, I should be doing that. You're kind of motivating me to get started on that practice. How do people find you? Because if they're looking for someone to follow that isn't already a 100 millionaire billionaire that's like, attributing everything they've done to a 4-hour work week, like, you're looking at somebody who's actually going through the mud, grinding up right now. Like, how do people find you so that they can connect with you and, like, communicate with you directly?
Yeah, well, at the moment, pretty much everything I'm doing is all just on Instagram, and a little bit on YouTube for my business. But pretty much at the moment I'm just smashing out Instagram reels. I'm documenting my journey. I'm trying to help people along the way. So if anyone wants to follow the journey on Instagram, it's at Jake Koffyberg. And then as well, like I have my business page and things I do, but at the moment, like if people want to follow the journey and learn more, then absolutely just follow on Instagram, and can't wait to see you all there as well.
Yeah, man. Brilliant. All right, man. I appreciate you coming onto the show. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I seriously had a ball. We'll definitely have to do it again soon.